Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, April 28th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable over the past week at seroundtable.com. First up, Project Owl. This is not really a Google specific update per se, but it definitely is something around we discussed a month ago about Google working on algorithms and techniques to go ahead and kind of reduce the amount of fake news, inaccurate, offensive content that shows up in the Google search results. Again, we discussed this about a month ago, a little bit over a month ago, but now Google officially wrote a blog post about it. Danny Sullivan covered it in great detail at Search Engine Land as well. It's codenamed Project Owl at Google, and it basically goes ahead and promotes authoritative content, which we discussed again last time, and demotes low-value content, specifically to help, and Google calls it offensive and clearly misleading content from not showing up in the search results. Again, this is very, very similar to what we covered back on March 15th around algorithms that target the offensive, upsetting, and inaccurate and hateful results. And Google specifically said three things that they're doing here. Google is tweaking their algorithm to promote more authoritative content and demote low-quality content, specifically around queries that potentially can show offensive and misleading content. Two, Google's updating their quality raters guidelines to help them with these efforts. And ensure that the algorithms are doing the correct job, so the quality raters, again, we discussed that last time. And three, Google added feedback forms for autocomplete suggestions and for feature snippets to quickly get feedback from searchers that are not on target with these goals, with these specific goals in terms of what Google's trying to do. Specifically, I asked, there was a lot of feedback from Google, Gary from Google, about, is this stuff new? And Gary said the tweaks on our algorithm that we're reporting and users have been noticing are unrelated to this. So any algorithm shifts and stuff like that, it seems like it's not related to this, meaning this is not new. We covered this, and this is an effort Google's been working on for a while, and those major algorithm tweaks that we've been covering with Fred and Panda or whatever are not specifically new. And he also said news sites won't have a harder time, news sites, like brand new websites that don't have authority, won't have a hard time ranking after this update. That's not true. And he also said that big brands won't have an advantage over smaller brands with this update. So here's the feedback form. You click it. It gives you that. That's rolling out now, as well as the automated auto-suggest features that you can see there, and you can actually click on that and see those information. In any event, Google had a big update about this, or a big blog post about this on their major blog, the search blog, so that's why it's important to talk about it. But again, this is nothing new per se. This is happening over the past, I think, several months and continuing going forward. Talking about algorithm updates, there potentially was a Monday and Tuesday algorithm update. There were some little bit of chatter. I still don't see much chatter, a little bit more this morning, but I really don't see much chatter around it. But the tools themselves were going nuts, as you can see here. Here's Molliscast going pretty high in terms of weather reporting of volatility in the search results. SERP metrics showing a lot of volatility. Advanced web ranking, some significant changes. AccuRanker. You see Rank Ranger here spiking a little bit. And SEMrush, the sensor, is actually showing that as well. Again, I don't think this is a big update because the SEO community is really not chattering about it. But I guess time will tell. But I think time has told us that it wasn't a major update. Interesting enough, John Mueller went ahead and tweeted, and let me show you his tweet. The question here was, let me zoom in a little bit. You can see it there on the left-hand side of my left-hand side. It says, does the use of 410 codes for expired pages from the Associated Press and router feed, can that affect my visibility in Google News? And John responds, if you're republishing feeds, obviously, the AP feeds and the router feeds, router feeds, I consider no indexing in them anyway. You know how many people, or sites like New York Times, Washington Post, you see this here. Take the AP, this is an AP story. Government shutdown, health bill, rescue at stake in Congress. That I just copied and pasted from one of the latest AP stories that day. Copied and pasted into Google, and all these news sources, USA News, NBC, Washington Post, New York Times, the list goes on and on. Yahoo Finance, Daily Mail from the UK. All these sources are just taking the same exact story. And John Mueller, I agree with him, but he's telling them all to no index the content. But they all index the content and Google ranks it. Of course, Google's dedupe features figures out which one to show. They probably should show the AP, but they don't. In any event, it's a very interesting thing, and obviously it's not a policy. It's just John Mueller saying, hey, you probably should no index them because there should be one source. But people are paying for that AP source to go on their own website, and they do want the traffic from Google and so forth. And this is nothing new. That's been going on forever, which is interesting to see John Mueller say that. Google has updated their how does Google search work page, and with that they actually documented a bunch of different things, specifically around UI changes, search feature changes, search algorithm changes. And Google's constantly telling us, hey, yeah, of course it was an update. We do 2, 3, 4, 5 updates every single day. But the truth is they don't do algorithm updates, search ranking updates every single day, in my opinion. They do probably UI changes, user interface changes, feature changes, moving things around, color changes, snippet changes, things that don't necessarily affect the search ranking results, the pure organic ranking results. They do that all the time. But at the same time, they don't do organic ranking changes that affect the core ranking results every single minute, every single day. They probably do a bunch. They probably do hundreds, but thousands, several a day? I don't think so. But again, I don't know. And that's what bothers me when Google gives me that statement. We make changes every day. Of course, Google makes changes every day. But when we talk about ranking changes, core ranking changes where a site that was in slot 3 now is in slot, I don't know, on page 3 from slot 3, that's a major change. And Google shared some metrics here. Let me show you the GIF here that I made. So this is a new page on the how Google search works. And you see search quality rater tests. These are the different changes. Let me just document them. Google quality raters, again, these are independent consultants that work and rate the quality of the Google search results and experiments. Said they did about 130,000 search quality tests. Google ran over 18,000 side-by-side experiments in search. Again, it could be UI, it could be ranking, it could be tons of different things. Google tried almost 10,000 live traffic experiments. That means instead of just doing search quality rated tests, they actually went ahead and sent it up to 1% or so of the searchers that try these things. And of all of that, Google launched over 1,600 of those tests. Again, UI changes, ranking changes, a bunch of them. What percentage of that 1,600 are core ranking? 200? I don't know. I have no idea. Google won't share that information, but I wish they would. In any event, that's a lot of changes, and Google's obviously very busy, and there's a lot of good job security for a bunch of people at Google. Google said they have no plans to boost the HTTPS ranking factor. They're going to leave it the way it is. They're not going to boost it, change it. They're going to pretty much leave it. Google said links from high-ranking pages are not any more valuable than other links. Obviously, links from high page rank pages with high PR values, which we don't know what they are anymore, are more valuable, but links in general from more valuable pages, high-ranking pages, are not more valuable. Technically, high-ranking pages have more page rank, but again, that's not a direct information. Google, clicked on the wrong one, sorry. Google said that the request indexing feature, where you could actually go ahead and say crawl direct links. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. So when you use the Fetch as Google tool, there's a feature to say request indexing. When you click that, you get this little form, and in there you can actually crawl this. You can say crawl this URL and direct links. When you click that, you hit go. The question was asked, how many links on that page could Google crawl? And John Mueller basically responded, a reasonable amount. Who knows what that reasonable amount number means, but he said it's not a replacement for sitemap. So if you want a lot of pages indexed by Google, definitely use the sitemap tool and you'll be fine. Googlebot does not understand the words in your podcast. So if I'm converting this into a podcast, this video isn't into a podcast, Googlebot, the one that indexes this, the feed of the audio file that I embed on this webpage, is not going to go ahead and read it and understand what I'm saying. So that's what John Mueller said. No, they don't understand embedded podcasts on your website. Of course, YouTube has transcriptions and so forth, but that's pretty cool. SEO agencies that are spamming Google, and you're aware of it, and they have practices that do that. Gary from Google basically said that we'll take a fair look at them. So if you want to submit any SEO agencies that are spamming to Gary, he said they'll take a fair look at it. I wouldn't, but if you want to, you definitely can. This is interesting. A lot of AMP stuff going on this week. So earlier this week, I think on Monday, we reported that Google seems to be dropping the AMP logo from the mobile search results. It wouldn't be uncommon, or I don't think it would be crazy for Google to test that. Google dropped the mobile-friendly label. They dropped the page speed label and stuff like that. So why wouldn't they drop the AMP logo? You can see here, AMP logo there, AMP logo gone, AMP logo there, etc. Google's obviously testing that, but it wasn't that. It was actually Google seems to have maybe a bug, or the testing dropping the AMP results completely, which makes no sense to me. It probably is a bug, but we uncovered this morning that here you can see a little video of of the AMP page, AMP logo not showing, but not only is it not showing, I'm not sure why it's not loading, not only is it not showing here, come on, go. Basically, it's not taking you to the AMP version of the page. It takes you to a different version of the page. And this is it looks like a test. So we dug into this deeper, and Rank Ranger, who actually tracks these feature stuff, showed a significant drop in AMP results showing in the percentage of queries that they're tracking. Plus, if you dig into it, what you get, and you look at the code of the search result, shows AMP, had the AMP information, but when you clicked on it, in this example at least, it didn't actually link you to the AMP page. Something's going on. I asked Google. The original statement was nothing's going on, but something seems to be going on. In any event, we'll see what's going on. Yesterday, there was a separate issue around AMP, that AMP, Google Analytics wasn't tracking AMP traffic, and that's now fixed. It was a big thing going on. And the AMP project said that, yeah, this issue has been fixed. That's a separate issue, completely unrelated to that, which was confusing everything else. But that's what it is. Google reminded us that just because Google has a patent or a research paper that's been published doesn't mean that they're using what they discussed in that patent or research paper in the live search ranking algorithms. Just a reminder on that. Google has told us that before, but I figure it's been a while since I reminded you guys, and Gary actually confirmed that again just recently. Google and Google's organic, the search core search results, and the paid search ads, AdWords, policies between the two don't always match up, and that's because they have a separation of church and state between the AdWords team and the organic team, and often they don't talk. And because of that, it could be confusing. Obviously, it's good that they don't talk because you don't want one influencing the other. But at the same time, you also want the policies to align. So if AdSense is telling you to use interstitials and place ads in the primary area of your content, but Google's telling you on the organic side not to do that because it'll hurt your rankings, they should probably have policies that match. And that's something not new. It's something that's going on for a while. And it's kind of unfortunate. Like I said before, Google has updated how Google Search Works site. It's been a while since they updated it. This is how it looks now. This is how it looked a year before, or just recently. And it's definitely been updated. It's definitely worth taking a look at. And there's some new metrics there and some old metrics that have been removed. Google has added more granular review filtering into their reviews local pack. So now you can actually see here that you could filter by half stars as well, which is cool. Google Hotel Booking Interface has now a carousel test that's going on where you can actually go ahead and scroll between the carousels. So again, here's a screenshot. You can actually scroll between the carousels versus just a direct listing of those booking availabilities. And finally, Google's testing a view rates call to action in different colors. This is again spotted by Sergey, where you can actually, here's a screenshot. The view rates button, which is a call to action in a different color, and actually slides up, which is another Google test that they're doing. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. Those watching live, thank you also. Everyone have a great weekend. Again, today is Friday, April 28th, and that's the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable, seroundtable.com over the past week. Everyone have a great weekend. See you guys next. Bye.